Good morning, everyone. I'm excited. I'm Kamari Gold. I come from Rocket Companies. I am the Chief Learning Officer and Chief Diversity Officer, where I have the amazing privilege every single day to impact and change the lives of our team members, our communities, and our clients. And I have with me some really great folks to talk about skilling in the workforce. So let's start with Eleanor, then we'll go to Jeff, and then Greg. Please share with the audience here who you are and your why.
Nice to see everyone today. My name is Eleanor Cooper, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of an organization called Pathstream. We have been a partner in the Guild Network for several years now, and our organization is really founded around helping individuals who are early career or frontline to navigate their own confidence building and to get on that first rung of the ladder in their career to open up promising future opportunities. And my why is really twofold. One is, I think as many of us are here, believe this is an imperative, this is a must, and also what's more joyful as a way to spend your time and a way to spend your career than seeing individuals believe in themselves and unlock new potential. And so it's just a pleasure to get to do this work every day.
Love it. Jeff.
Hello, everyone. Jeff Buting, I'm COO at Outlier.org. And for those who don't know, Outlier is an education company that was founded by one of the co-founders of Masterclass. And we take a similar approach to what, if you're familiar with that organization, to producing really high quality online curricula for college credit. And we offer a few different products. So we offer kind of online courses, professional certificates for credit, and as of recently, associate degree programs. We've been on the Guild platform just this year, so excited to get to meet a lot of the employers here to hopefully get to service you and your employees soon. But for us, we try to create a flexible path for students to be able to achieve their goals and employees to be able to get the mobility. And for my why in particular, it falls along those same through lines. The whole mission of Outlier is something that's near and dear to me. It's to increase access to high quality education and reduce student debt and help with that career mobility. And that's what we're working on.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Greg Fowler. I'm the president of the University of Maryland Global Campus. I've been here at UMGC for about 3 years, and we've been working with Guild for the vast majority of that time. UMGC was founded about 80 years ago. It's the largest of the University of System of Maryland schools, about 90,000 students. And our job is we basically have been built to try to figure out how to literally meet students where they are. And I say that both in the sort of traditional way, but also geographically. So when we were founded, the goal was to try to figure out how to serve service members wherever they are around the globe. And in the last 80 years since then, we have literally taught on every continent, including Antarctica. So jungles, deserts, polar caps. We've taught in online, face-to-face, hybrid live stream experiences, and continue to try to find new ways to help students wherever they are in the world try to learn. So the work with Guild is very much the work that we are trying to do, which is non-traditional learners who are trying to figure out how do we give skills to people who are not necessarily going to be going through the traditional workforce. That has been sort of the mission of my life's work. I started my career in Washington, D.C. as a National Endowment for the Humanities as an outreach specialist, trying to find ways to try to make sure that people who didn't have access to some of the traditional grants had the ability to do so moving forward. And I've continued to do that through the work over the years. Since then, I went from there to Penn State, and then started working back in the early 2000s at a small place at the time called Western Governors University, and moved from there after about 6 years to work for a year at Kaplan, and then spent the next 10 years of my life at Southern New Hampshire University, which is also a Guild partner, and then took this job, all once again trying to figure out how do we continue to make education available in non-traditional ways to those students.
Well, thank you. Please give it up for our panel. So we're going to do something a little different. Johnny was up here earlier, and he made mention that he had the easiest job, which was just to ask questions. I have the job of telling a story and asking questions. So not such an easy job, but I'm excited about the way that we're going to do this panel today. So I want to take an opportunity to tell you what we're going to do. We are going to take you through a journey, specifically a Rocket team member, Danielle, and kind of talk to you about her and her moving through the organization, leveraging the resources provided to her through the Rock Academy. So let's take an opportunity to meet Danielle. So Danielle is a native Detroiter. What up, though, for any of my Detroiters here? Only a few. Okay, okay, that's fine. That's fine. But due to some life circumstances, she has found herself in a different place in life, and so she is now at Rocket Companies, and she is a client care advocate. And so Danielle is trying to figure out what is her next step. And one of the things that we should know about the Rock Academy, which started in 2020 through Guild, it was created to help team members achieve their aspirational career goals, as well as removing some of the financial barriers, and help them to have greater access and career mobility within the organization. And so, what might Danielle's pathway look like? So first off, as I've shared, let's talk about a few things that she's learned on the job. She has learned organization, communication skills. She is interested in going into a business operations role or engineering role. And she has gone to our Rock Academy site and identified the business operations certificate. So, Eleanor, can you share a bit about how the program may help Danielle to evolve her skills aligned with the needs of our current business at Rocket?
So Danielle probably had a great experience speaking with her Guild coach, and her Guild coach was recognizing that where Danielle is in her journey is she's built these great skills at her organization, and she has an interest in technology, but exactly what aspect of technology, what aspect of, is it data, is it software engineering? There's a lot of different roles in technology, and she doesn't have someone that she can pick up the phone and call and ask about all these different complex, fancy job titles, agile project manager, business operations analyst. And so she speaks with a Guild coach who recommends, why don't you start with this short format certificate program? It's 6 months long. You can do it about 5 hours a week outside of your normal work. And the thing that's going to be great about this program for you is that it's experiential. And a lot of people say experiential, but what is experiential and why does it matter? So what you're going to do in this program is you're going to get started and you're really going to work on what does it really feel like to be in this new role at an organization. So you're going to first learn how to set up a project in project management software. You're going to learn the context that this company that you're practicing with, they're actually trying to change their mobile app. And you are now a technical project manager, and you're going to try this out. So you're going to set up the whole project in project management software in this course. And then you're going to communicate with stakeholders, and you're going to have someone on your team who gets way off track, and you have to have a difficult conversation. You're going to practice that difficult conversation of influencing a peer when you don't have formal authority. And then you're going to move on to actually launching this test that you're running to improve the mobile app. You're going to launch an A/B test. You're going to analyze data in Excel spreadsheets through this program. And then as you test and see the results, you're going to find out that there was a surprising result. And you're going to have to troubleshoot and really get to the root cause analysis and use your critical thinking skills to understand what happened here and how am I going to communicate this back out with my team. The reason why this has been a good experience for Danielle is she's found out I actually really loved the most technical parts of this. I loved the parts when I got to dive in and configure Tableau. I loved the parts where I got to use numbers. And by the way, I also see how the skill sets that we mentioned, communication, empathy, working with customers, product knowledge, how those are transferable and how those skills that I actually bring something to the table in this role. And so now I'm excited about taking my next steps. It's unlocked in me potential of what else can I do at this organization with the skills I have and the interests I have.
I love that. And so one thing that should be noted about the Pathstream program for our learners within the organization, when we talk about removing barriers, that is a 100% fully funded program by us. So what we've done is connected with Pathstream, who's culturally aligned with our organization. Danielle recognizes that. She finds the support that she needs. And in a short period of time, she's identified that she has learning experience that has exceeded her expectations. Because originally, remember, she didn't think she could do it. This was her first time back into a learning organization, and it has confirmed her interest in a tech pathway. And that's extremely important for us at Rocket Companies because we are a fintech platform, and we are looking for team members not only to attract our talent, but to build them within our organization. So Danielle is primed for these opportunities that will present itself to our team members. So maybe now that she's a bit more experienced, she has a bit more confidence, she is able to move into a gateway role and continue to develop her skills on the job. So she's taken what she's learned from Pathstream, she's applying it, and now she's got a new role. She continues her journey into the Associates in Applied Computing program from Outlier. So let's take a look at that. Jeff, talk to us about the skills Danielle will develop and how.
Happy to. Thanks, Kumari. So I'll start with a little bit of background on what is this associate degree in applied computing. We partner with Golden Gate University, which is one of the top universities teaching adult learners in the market, to bring this together. And the design of this is intentionally done in a way that is welcoming transferability and helping these students stack their prior experience and learning. And so before I even get into the skills they're learning in the program, I would say there's a good chance Danielle is going to start by getting credit from her experience in this business operations Pathstream certificate, which is great. And so up to 45 of the 60 credits in this degree program can come from prior experience, and 15 of those can come from non-traditional or non-accredited learning, like a Pathstream certificate. But so once you dive into our program, we've designed this in a way that's we think is quite innovative and unique in the sense that we offer kind of your traditional, college course, gen ed curricula, introductory courses toward a 2-year degree, and we also have created new professional certificates for credit where we take certificates from Google and Meta and Salesforce that are in high demand in the workforce, and we offer and build a course around those so that you can earn up to 4 or 8 credits for these certificates as well in the degree program. And as we think about kind of what are the skills that are important for students to learn, I think we're still very much fans and advocates of the traditional degree and what you can learn through that process, both from a durable soft skill perspective and then a hard skill perspective as well. And I'll give a couple examples. So, on the hard skill front, if you take our Computer Science 1 course, you're not only going to learn the theory of ones and zeros and data arrays and strings and so forth, but you're also going to be coding and learning the language of Java. And we've built software into the course so that you're coding, and many of your assessments and projects are actually building output through the course itself. And as we think about our traditional courses like Calculus 1 or Intro to Statistics or college writing, these are courses that we try to embed a lot of practical application and theory next to each other, where you're really focusing and learning on these critical durable skills that hopefully you can enhance and be evergreen in your career, despite the shelf life on a lot of these practical hard skills changing every 2.5 years, which we heard earlier today. And things like communication, problem solving, critical thinking are built into the learning and assessments on these courses. And and then as we think about the lecture material and the assessments, we try to embed how this is used in the real world versus just theory. And so a couple examples there, if you take our Calculus 1 course, we actually cast instructors, and we try to find the best instructors in the world to teach these courses. We found an instructor from MIT who also happens to be an ex-NFL football player, funny enough, and he teaches many examples of sports in the course where you think about like a decay curve as teams, losing record builds upon itself, and your fan support starts to dwindle away. And so it's trying to bring these real life examples into the materials, but also in the assessments as well. So almost every course has assessments grounded in application. Our professional communications course, as an example, is one where it's built around the arc of storytelling, and you start out with very small bits of tell us about a time when you've had a personal or professional development or growth experience and what that was like, and then you start in future assessments to build on that into how can you enhance that into an elevator pitch or an interview response to a question or leading a meeting effectively. And so these things are tied to elements of not just the theory, but also how you can apply them in the workforce. And then with that, I'll turn it back to you.
I love that. I'm narrating, Jeff.
Sorry.
I love that because if we go back to Danielle, right, starting out, entry-level position in the organization, not a lot of confidence, no direction, not clear on which way to go, but wanting to know she wanted more. She talked to a guild coach. She found herself taking the business operations certificate. Now she finds herself with an associate in applied computing, and she's in a new role. So this is extremely important to note because in the new role, she's honing those skills. So as she's taking her Outlier courses, she's applying that in her day-to-day, and she's seeing the impact of learning. And with the transparency around the skills that are needed for the next roles and the opportunity that she has a bit more confidence in terms of, I can do this. I can apply for the next role. I can actually go and take a college course now because I have some classes under my belt. And so she sees UMGC as an opportunity for her, and it's her next step. So she goes out for the Bachelor's of Science in Computer Engineering. It's a school designed for working adults that may even accept some credits for her. And this is really, really important as we've been working on this in the Rock Academy of those transferable credits. Because one, it accelerates the learning for the team member, right? So the daunting task of, oh my gosh, it's gonna take me X amount of time to complete. They don't have to concern themselves with that. But also as an employer, I'm not paying for redundant courses. So Greg, can you talk to us a bit about as she moves into the BS in computer engineering?
Sure, and one of the things that I absolutely agree on is this idea of as much transferability of credits, but hopefully behind the scenes at UMGC, one of the things we are trying to do is translate the experiences into skills. And if we've done our work right, we've been working with the various businesses and organizations to have a clear understanding of what are the skills you are looking for in these various types of roles in a way that allows us to be able to build experiences that are going to truly align to what that looks like. So by the time Danielle gets to us, one of the things we want to be able to say is, I don't know if any of you remember in the old days when they had malls, they had a sort of "you are here" spot. Being able to say, okay, here are the skills that you clearly have, and what we're working on is trying to say, can we clearly articulate those things in a way that says you're going to know, do, and be these things at this point coming in, and we are going to take you on a journey where you're going to, by the time you leave us, have these skills explicitly that are tied to where you are trying to go with your life. So I'm an English major, so I tend to speak in metaphor a lot. So for those of you who have a personal trainer at the gym, well, I'm always thinking about at the beginning of the new year when the resolution is show up at the gym and they swear that this is going to be their year. And if for a period of time when they walk in, it's like the first thing the personal trainer is trying to do is understand who you are, what your goals are, where you're trying to go, and what motivates you. And so they're not going to immediately put someone who's never done the flat bench on a flat bench and say bench press 300 pounds, even if that's what the goal is ultimately going to be. They're going to spend some time trying to figure out what's the pathway to get you there, or if you're trying to run a marathon. We have different equipment here so that some of you may want to do cardio this way, some of you may want to do it a different way. You may want to do free weights, you may want to use machines. What is the path that's going to get you there? And what you find is there is a stackable, progressive process by which you're going to be able to gain the skills at the gym. In the same way, what we're trying to do at UMGC is build out these sort of stackable experiences, thinking of the various ways you can go about learning. So again, I talked about modality, but there are many different ways that learning can happen, even when it comes to what you consider a traditional college experience. One of the things we're spending a lot of time on right now is trying to think about if you're already working on the job. Chances are, we often talk about this idea of lifelong learning. The reality is that the vast majority of the things that we are going to learn in our lives, we learn outside of traditional classroom structures. So even as you're working at Rocket and other places, you've been gaining or enhancing those durable skills that you started some time ago. You've been enhancing some of the other pieces. So while we will work on the content of the computer engineering program, we want to integrate within that the experiences that say, can we find ways to give you credit for the things you are doing at work at the same time, so that we save you money, we save you time, we keep you moving forward in that process you're trying to move forward. It may not necessarily all start off with courses. It may even start off with shorter non-credit experiences or modules or other things that you are trying to use. That's great. We're a university that's trying to allow for people to have all of those various experiences. So when you walk in the door, we want to be able to say, you are here, here's your pathway, we're going to check on you. Another metaphor that I hear used a lot in this space is we're like your Sherpa when you're trying to climb the mountain. Hopefully, we've climbed the mountain before. We understand basically what it takes to climb the mountain, but it's going to be different for each person trying to climb. Some are going to go faster, some are going to go slower. So we pair you with that success coach that's going to be able to say, I understand what motivates you, in the same way that we talked about that personal trainer. And some of you may get, altitude sickness. So we're going to figure out, okay, do we go faster, slower? It looks like you need to slow down. But we want to make sure we can't climb the mountain for you, but we're going to give you the support mechanisms that you're going to need. Also, while working with the businesses that are trying to help you to gain those skills as well. So hopefully we've created a supportive mechanism by which you can gain those skills. And when you walk out of the door, you will be able to see, whether it's through badges or through other things, that here are the skills I now have that I didn't have before, and here's how I'm now able to give extra value to the workforce that I didn't have before, with a level of confidence that goes to that next level. So integrating all the things you brought in, giving you a good sense of where you were, and giving you confidence walking out the door that you now can do things that you couldn't when you walked in.
I love that. And Danielle hasn't lost anything.
No.
Like, she has gained every step of the way. And so I want to take a look at the full picture, because you have 4 different entities on this stage working together to support the same person, right? Which, when you talk about your why, our whys were all very similar. Right? The whys of everyone in this room is very similar. And when we look at Danielle here, we all have Danielles in our lives. And so when we think about our responsibility to create a culture of opportunity, this is essentially what it is. You're taking team members from a place where they never imagined that they could be, and you're getting them there. You're giving them the footholds and the handholds. I don't climb mountains, but I do know about footholds and handholds, right? You're giving them that so that they can be successful.
Yes.
And so we have Danielle, who started as a client relations advocate. She moved into a gateway role. She's now in a more entry-level, mid-level role. And then now, it's whatever Danielle is setting her sights for. And think about this. What I also shared in the beginning is Danielle has 2 children. So not only are we impacting Danielle's life by providing her the support and removing the external and internal barriers, we're also impacting the lives of her children. I mean, we heard Johnny. There was a testimony fully on the stage about Johnny's mom and the fact that she got to a place to where she was able to achieve her BSN and then take 3 kids through college. Like, this is life-changing, world-changing stuff. So let's not take it for granted. I'm going to move on to my next question. My next question is, Eleanor, can you share with us some insight about how these programs that are developed, how do the specific skills come to life in your programs? Like, how, like I heard, Greg share working with the business, but for you in Pathstream, how do these skills come to life for you?
So when we're designing programs, and our role is, as was shown on the slide, is helping individuals move from where they're starting to this first gateway role. And this gateway it's the gateway of opportunity. It's that pivotal role that opens up a new realm of economic potential for the individual, career potential for the employer as well. And so in order to bridge that first gap, there's 3 key components of what we're looking at and bringing together. One is from the business side, so from employer partners, from talking to Guild, in collaboration, what are the business needs? Where is the business seeing talent shortages? Where are skills evolving faster than they can hire? So that is one kind of North Star piece of the equation of ultimately what outcome does the business driving for. Another is we work with a wide range of software and technology partners, because that's, like, as I mentioned, you're learning project management software, you're learning how to run a Scrum meeting, you're learning Tableau, you're learning Excel. We work with all of these different technology providers. So we're always talking to our technology partners about what role is the technology playing today, what role is the technology going to play in getting to that business outcome, which gives us important information about where is the human role increasingly needed, and therefore what skills are going to be those skills that are going to stand out, that are less automated, that are going to help someone stand out. And then finally, I'd say the area of work that we're probably the most proud of is what does it take for that individual to actually succeed? What are the barriers that we need to unblock, the external but also the internal barriers? And so those can be anything from someone has a lot of potential in their role, but the moments of opportunity when they're in front of someone who's a level or 2 above them in the organization, if they're in a meeting, they don't have they haven't had the instruction on how to present themselves. They don't have the past experience that says, when your boss sends you an email, you're supposed to write back and put the answer first, and then structure the information in this way and have supporting evidence. But no one's told them that. And so helping give them these like small tips and tricks of how they can show up in a professional setting that makes it such that they can really show their skills and build confidence and have some quick wins. And so it's bringing these different pieces together that get someone this first step on the ladder, which we're really passionate about making sure that because so much more can come if we can get someone just up level to that one rung up.
Love that, because sometimes we take a lot of that for granted, right? Not recognizing that people are coming from different spaces and places and experiences. So Jeff, we know that the way many of us engage in formal education doesn't work for the majority of individuals on our teams. So, many folks have kids at home, very varied experiences and backgrounds, and feelings about learning, some deep feelings about learning. What can learning providers do to serve these learners and help ensure they're able to succeed and actually acquire the skills that we've been talking about today?
That's a great question. It's something we think about a lot at Outlier in the ways we've designed our courses and programs. So I'll start with just the modality itself. Adult learners with families and job responsibilities are going to have a tough time showing up in person to a class during the week, much less an online class at a set time, multiple days a week, given the life circumstances that happen. And so what we've done is created a hybrid learning platform where we pre-record these cinematic lectures and build interactive learning that you can consume at your optimal windows for you. But it's in a cohort structure, and you're following still this syllabus and semester kind of timeline schedule. And so it allows for that sort of optimal flexibility, but still provides this structure and wraparound support with peers and with our team of subject matter experts. And so you as the employee can consume, faster speeds on the lectures. You can search different things that you're struggling with and jump right to those points. And you can tap into, a 24/7 tutor when you need it. And so that modality, I think, is the first primary premise of how do we meet these students, employees where they are to be able to learn effectively. For us, the other things that I've mentioned to some degree are trying to think about the flexible pathways coming in and going out. And so, we talk about stacking credits. We were just talking about that beforehand, and then we've talked about that for a long time, but that's the premise of what we do. We build high quality courses with high quality college credits from great university partners that are transferable and accepted largely everywhere. And so being able to take a few courses and then a professional certificate and get credit and continue to stack that through to allow for potentially starting and stopping, and students that can't just crank through a full-time degree program and things like that. And so those are some of the things we try to embed into the experience to meet students where they are in this circumstance.
Thank you. I have one last question, and it's one of my favorite questions because before, for a long time, employers have been the recipients of the products. By products, I'm going to talk about students from universities. And it is often felt one-sided, right? The university teaches the curriculum, that's the curriculum, it's going to be what it's going to be, and then we as the employers get these new team members into our organizations. As we continue to move forward and evolve, I think it's extremely important that there's a partnership between the learning institutions and the employers. So, Greg, can you talk to us about why you think now is the time to develop strong feedback loops between employers and learning providers? What more can we be doing to help each other deliver on the vision, all of the whys that we've talked about, speak the same language, and evolve together?
Yes, it's, one of the things, as I said earlier, we have about 200 locations around the globe, and one of the places I get to spend some time in is in Tokyo, where I was there not too long ago. We do these things called intersession classes, and basically what those are is there are periods of time when a U.S. aircraft carrier will come into port. They have a period of time where their service members are going to be there, and then they're going to go back out to sea. So we've had to work with the military on how long are they going to be here, what are the skills you're trying to get during that period of time, what are the things that you want us to be able to assess in certain various ways. And it's created a different type of relationship that allows us to make sure that what we are trying to make sure they get the skills in are the things that they're going to need the skills as they continue to move forward. When you're talking about learning experience development, I mentioned some of the places I've worked over a period of time. In almost all of those places, there comes a certain point in the experience where we bring businesses together with what we call pracademics, so practicing academics, who are trying to figure out what are the skills and what are the right learning experiences for them. And we try to start that conversation off by saying, here's what the outcome needs to be. And I can tell you that 90% of the time they do not agree at the beginning of that experience on what the experience should be and how we're going to get there. But we do at the end of the day in such a way that at the end both sides have some level of confidence in it. That's the type of relationship that we are looking to see more and more of in a way that gives them confidence. WGU was actually founded specifically because in the early 90s, Roy Romer of Colorado, the governor there, and the governor of Utah, Mike Leavitt, were hearing from their businesses that you're graduating students who don't have the skills that you say they have. And so you've got to come up with a way to do this that's going to be based upon demonstration of skills as opposed to a degree, could be any number of things. So that work tied with, can we work with businesses to clearly define what those skills are? That's probably one of the single hardest pieces when I'm talking to CEOs and when I'm talking to even chief HR officers, and they say, well, we want our employees to be critical thinkers. And I say, so talk to me about what critical thinking looks like at your job. Talk to me about what creativity looks like. Talk to me about the skill set of dealing with diverse populations. And it takes a while to get clear definitions for that. Some of you may know Matt Siegelman from Burning Glass, who does a lot of work in job descriptions. And he talks a lot about how what the job description says and the reality of what you're expecting them to do on the job aren't necessarily the same thing. So what we're trying to do is build more of those relationships that have us understanding from day one, what are those skill sets going to be, and how are we going to make sure that they either acquire them through traditional methods if that's necessary, but more and more what I would love to see is being able to, again, make sure we often think about this process of first you learn, then you go to work. I would love to flip that so that you go to work and at work you are learning, and that learning continues to stack on things that you are doing as you continue to move forward, because that allows for far more. When we're talking to our military, I was again thinking about this master sergeant who was getting ready to graduate, and I was listening to the skills he'd acquired through the academies he'd been in, through the training programs. And many of your businesses have training programs just like this, and many academies that they're getting some skills through as well. And I said to him, it would be a shame for someone who has the level of leadership skills that you have to walk onto a college campus and take introduction to organizational leadership. You've clearly got those skills already. How do we find ways to, tag that and let you move on in a rapid fashion? So as we're working with businesses, trying to find ways to accelerate that process, trying to find ways to make sure we are clear on what those skills are, and giving the businesses as well as the learner the confidence that they're going to be able to continue to move forward, has to be part of that solution as we're continuing to move forward.
I love that.
I will add one more thing to that, which is, can we develop those things rapidly? Because as you've heard over and over again, what you're seeing is a rapid development and evolution of skills at such a level that it can't take 2 years to develop a college curriculum. And as we're talking to people and trying to make sure we have those conversations, being able to say from day one, we've got to be faster at it. I've told my team that's one of the things we've got to be much better at, is making sure that we can very quickly turn things around. I was talking to the U.S. Department of Labor has a Chief Innovation Officer. His name is Chike Agu. He just actually left that for another job a couple of weeks ago. But he was talking about the sheer number of jobs that exist now that didn't even exist 2 years ago. We're having these conversations here about machine learning and AI. He's like, if you had looked 3 years ago and tried to find the term prompt engineer, you wouldn't have seen it anywhere. And now it's one of the most sought after titles when you're starting to look out for jobs. What's going to be here 2 years later? So how do we get those skills? It's going to be a critical piece of, can we rapidly develop those learning experiences to be agile and work with businesses to do so?
Thank you for that. I'll add to that, it is critical for us as employers to be in lockstep and partnership, right? Be willing to take that time, be willing to articulate, be willing to share what we see as emerging trends, right? So that way we can help you in building that curriculum. If we just sit and expect you to do it by yourselves, then we're not going to get the type of product and curriculum that we need. So let's wrap this up. I want to hear about what each of you are excited about. Like, what's next? What's on the horizon? What's like getting you super pumped up on the inside, that when you say it, the folks in this room are going to feel the fire? Eleanor, let's start with you.
I'd say two things. One is I can't believe we made it a whole half hour without mentioning generative AI, but I'm going to break the trend. But in all seriousness, given that we've been in the space of creating learning experiences that are experiential for individuals for years, it really is a transformative tool for us to have in our toolkit of how we can personalize the learning experience. We actually just launched last month with Guild our first program that deeply integrates generative AI as a way for people to have simulations of practicing difficult conversations. And practicing having a consultative conversation with a customer. And so it just makes it so that you can have active and engaging experiences on a whole nother level that we didn't even know was possible a year ago. And seeing that come to life has just been like truly amazing, the efficacy and how fast that happens. I'd say second is that the world has forced it such that the labor market is tightening and business is evolving faster, technology is evolving faster, that everyone has woken up, and there's this new energy, there's this new focus on we can't hire our way out of the talent needs that we have. We have to learn how to actually build talent from within, and look across our organization of where are there individuals who are one short format learning experience away from filling a critical need this organization has today. We have to think about talent differently, and that gives us the business imperative, the C-level priority, the board-level priority, to get to do the work that we all are passionate about doing because we know it's the right thing to do. And so it's just a moment where there's all of the things have finally come together for us to really create new levels of opportunity.
Eleanor, I feel like you're holding back, but I'm feeling the fire. I'm feeling the heat over here. What about you,
No
Jeff?
pressure. No, so for us, because we're focused on traditional college credentials, degrees, and so forth, what we're really excited about is continuing to build that sort of dual pathway ecosystem where your experience coming in is being counted for toward your credential and a degree, and then coming out, it's helping you with your career goals. And so as we think about that, that comes in a few forms. We try to go to the ecosystem and say what partners are providing experiential learning, whether it's military or certificates, that you're learning through Pathstream and others, and how do we drive equivalencies for credit so that you're getting credit toward a degree on those components. And on the flip side, we're trying to build curricula into these degrees that's what the employers are asking for, and that's where we're really excited to continue to work and talk to folks like Kamari and others here about what are some of the areas in high demand that you want to be focusing training against, and how do we build that into a traditional college course curricula that we can embed into these kind of creating that optionality for degree tracks and career mobility. So those are what we're very excited to work on.
So with me, it is the power of the moment to truly gain in equity in ways that we have not in the past. So two things we are very much tied into. One of them is this thing called the metaversity. And I'm not so much interested in simply the virtual realities because of the bright, shiny object of it. What I am interested in is our ability to take this and create new equitable experiences and equitable representations that allow for students to see themselves in that experience and to see that they too can be successful at whatever they're trying to do with it. And going back to the machine learning piece, I am a huge movie buff, and some of the people in this room will laugh when I use my all-time favorite movie reference when it comes to learning, which is Karate Kid. But I'm going to use it here again because in this movie, what you've got are two tracks of learning that are very different for two sets of people, Danielle LaRusso and Billy. Some of you may be watching Cobra Kai, which is a whole different series. But it's one of these things that's tied to, at the end of this movie, you've got to be able to have a skill, karate. But Daniel doesn't have the traditional dojo. He doesn't have the traditional sensei. He doesn't have the traditional space in which he's operating. But Mr. Miyagi's able to see his potential and provide a path for him that still gets him. He's still at the end got to perform the same tasks as the other people. He's got to perform in the tournament. But in the process, I mean, if you remember that moment in the movie where you have the whole wax on, wax off, and there's this moment where it dawns on him that he's been learning the whole time, and it empowers him in a way that helps him to continue moving forward. This is what we want to see for our learners. So there are permutations of learning out there coming from all types of life experiences. People learn in many different ways. They bring all kinds of experiences in. Machine learning allows us to take those permutations, put them in something that's scalable now, and crank out what those skills are and tag various ways those things can go about. If we can do that, we can truly, for the first time, begin to deal with some of the equity challenges that we have not been able to deal with in the past and help many different learners see that they have the power to change their lives and, to your point, the lives of their families and communities around them.
I love that. So I'm excited about the fact that I get to continue to work with each of you and Guild for many, many years to come to change the lives of our team members at Rocket and impact our community. Thank you for joining us for the panel today, and thank you all for attending.